the status of safe haven now is being shifted from US dollar to gold.
The ringgit being high, we're all happy and excited.
Better purchasing power when they buy products from abroad.
It would not be a good prospect for exports.
I think with the resignations of all the exports, that will affect.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Headlines. I'm Amalina Kamal. Now, gold is back in the spotlight, not just globally, but here in Malaysia. Internationally, prices have surged to record highs as investors seek safe haven assets amid economic uncertainty and geopolitical tensions. Now, gold prices in ringgit have tracked much of this global momentum, even as the ringgit itself showing notable strength. Now, this combination has added a new layer of confidence for Malaysian investors and everyday savers. Together, these trends make gold attractive not only as a store of value but also as a tool for diversification in a period of improving currency performance. Now, in today's episode, we unpack what's driving the global gold rally, why Malaysia's market and the ringgit are responding the way they are, and what it all means for ordinary Malaysians. From understanding price movements to weighing risks and opportunities, we aim to give you the insights you need to navigate the glittering world of gold and the evolving dynamics of the ringgit. Bank Muamalat's chief economist, Dr. Muhammad Afzanizam Abdul Rashid, shares his insights. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Dr. Afzanizam, Bank Muamalat's chief economist. Now, Doctor, of course, we're talking about how we have seen gold surge in ringgit form as well, and the ringgit has now slipped below 4, yes. And I believe you mentioned this during our year end, probably 2026, if that is to happen, probably there's going to be like a good trajectory for where our economy is going. Sure. But I would like to understand first, I mean, when we talk about on the gold, right, when we talk about the gold prices today, how is this rally actually affecting Malaysians and actually the general sort of populace, the traders, the buyers in ringgit terms?
Right. I think what it means to Malaysians when gold prices actually on the rise, it actually really helps one of the key industries. One of the key industries, obviously, Arahnu, the Islamic pawnbroking shop.
Right.
And we have seen how the traders, the small and or the micro, even small and medium enterprises have been leveraging Arahnu as a financing facility. So when gold prices really going up, then it really helps to increase the value of the collateral. So on that note, what it means is that these businesses were able to procure quite a hefty amount of financing to finance their working capital. So that's on the business side. Beyond that, of course, because we are so into gold as an investment, we can see how investing in gold has offered a very lucrative investment returns. And when we see the prices of gold continue to achieve a record high, so it gives the impression that investing in gold is one of the key investment strategy going forward. So I would say one is Arahnu and the other one is on the investing side.
But the bigger question is that people tend to ask is, when is the best time to invest in gold? Actually, to be fair, it's like any time, right? Because it continues to increase and continues to hit record high.
The normal investment mantra, buy low, sell high. So under this current condition, ideally we should buy when there is a correction in the gold prices. The problem is gold prices continue to hit record high. So that old mantra, somehow, I'm not saying it's not valid or otherwise, but still valid obviously, but we need to understand now what really drives gold prices actually. So to me, to answer those questions, obviously we need to understand what's happening in the US dollar actually. Because what it means is that gold traditionally is being deemed as a hedge against inflation, and to some degree as a safe haven instruments. And US dollar has always been regarded as the safe haven currencies. So with regards to US dollar, the status US dollar as a safe haven currencies, the way I see it is being revisited.
So we go into US dollar as a currency here as well. Like, I mean, if we reflect it back to the ringgit, the ringgit has shown relative strength in terms of having to go beyond, performing basically. The purchasing power is improving lah. But is this still a short-term thing?
To unpack this, there are multiple factors that you need to consider. Like I mentioned earlier on, the external situation with regards to the US economy, its policies, and how it impact the US dollar. And at this current juncture, it seems that more and more traders and investors start to revisit their understanding about the US economy and US dollar. So people are trying to search for alternatives. So gold seems to be the best fit in terms of the alternatives. When it comes to Malaysia, meaning in terms of how it contributes to ringgit, obviously it's about the economic prospect of our own country. It boils to that, down to that lah. Because eventually when investors come and invest in Malaysia, the main question they would ask themselves is what sort of investment prospect that we have in Malaysia. So that would actually revolves around the growth prospect for the country. And the most recent data that we have for the GDP for 2025 released by the DOSM, which is the advanced estimates for Q4 2025, the GDP growth actually was at 5.7%, surpassing most of economists' expectations. And the full year, we clock in at 4.9%, which is essentially exceeding the government's range forecast of 4% to 4%.
Is this an anomaly though? I mean,
I would say not anomaly, more like we were very pessimistic in 2025
because of pandemic, really.
The tariff.
Okay.
The tariff.
Okay. I mean, recent one, okay lah.
The
Tariff lah.
Yes,
okay.
yes. The tariff was the main reason why everyone was so pessimistic, including the IMF. And only recently they have upgraded their forecast for global growth for this year. So that also goes with our authorities. They were so guarded, they were so cautious. I don't blame them, because we are not sure what's the real impact. So the best way to handle this situation is to be conservative.
Okay,
so,
still.
Now I think still conservative.
Okay.
But I think with the recent number, it shows that I think the economy can take it, can withstand it. But of course, this is still new. I mean, it's still in January, so more things to come. But obviously, we understand. Last year, we were able to prescribe the right policies, and as a result, the economic growth was actually better than what we expected.
Right.
So that translates to demand for ringgit. Yeah.
No, because there is this bigger question in terms of what is actually influencing currencies today, and we're talking about ringgit as well. Apart from just foreign investment flows, is it balancing trade as well? But to what extent? Where do we actually put our focus in? Because I do understand with the ringgit being high, we're all happy and excited, but economists are saying that it would not be a good prospect for exports.
Sure. I like your questions because everything is always like two sides of the coins. On one hand, it's good for our imports. It's good for us if you want to travel abroad, and it's good for parents who send their kids and children studying abroad. What about our exporters, which is our main economic drivers? Yeah, I think exporters would face some difficulties, because obviously when the ringgit is getting stronger, when they earn their income from foreign currencies, when they convert it into ringgit, obviously will get less revenue. But again, it's always a function of how these exporters manage their finances. That means they need also to look at their cost structure, their labor, the state of technology, and how all this will translate into productivity.
How can the government manage expectations, or at least manage the current investors that they have today, in terms of not to pull out or make like immediate, haphazard decisions?
Right. And so far, foreign funds has been so constructive about Malaysia.
Okay.
If you look at our equities market, right, from early January until now, they have been recording net purchases. Now I think it's about more than 1.4 billion now.
Okay.
As opposed to, last 2 years, foreign investors have been net sellers. So there must be something about our country. Of course, there are also issues surrounding Indonesia as well. Because when I read the news, obviously MSCI, Morgan Stanley, is reassessing the status of Indonesia as part of the index constituent. That resulted concerns among the foreign investors. So they reassess their portfolio and they redirect some of their portfolios to other regions. That includes Malaysia as well.
Just curious to understand this. Is it because of their own domestic monetary policy?
There's something to do with their own economies, policies lah.
Okay.
What I understand from the news, the MSCI was concerned about the stock, what do you call it? The liquidity of the stocks.
Okay.
Because it's being held by certain group, it's not liquid. So they're questioning on that.
Oh, it's the rigidity of things that
Right,
I mean.
right.
Okay, I understand. Going back to how gold and ringgit, relationship works. Where is the link? But people generally do want to know, how do fluctuations in our currency affect gold? Can you just a little bit explain to our audience here?
Okay. When ringgit appreciates, it means in general, Malaysian would have a better purchasing power when they buy products from abroad, when they subscribe from overseas subscription or services.
Okay.
Because our value of money is greater. In the case of US dollar, we are greater than getting better lah in terms of it appreciates in value.
Yeah.
So that translates into your purchasing power lah. So what it means that they can buy more. But at the same time, if you sell our products abroad, then our product is deemed as expensive. Because when in a way lah, because when we convert the value of foreign currencies to ringgit, then as I said before, the sales value would be much lesser.
And any sort of products here?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are strong in obviously in technology sector, especially on the semiconductor. And that will be impacted. Rubber gloves, and any export-oriented industry, furniture perhaps also. So you can see from the company's announcements when they announce their quarterly results, they would mention for export-oriented industries companies, they would mention about the appreciation of ringgit or the weakening of dollar has impacting their bottom line negatively.
To what extent does this sort of tensions or the uncertainties that we see today, not just within the region, but what's ever happening in the West with crude oil talks, right, and expansion in terms of better border security, impact the purchasing power here within this region? To what extent is the ripple effect can we see?
We are operating in an environment where it's so open in terms of our economy, be it in terms of international trade and also our investments. So therefore, it's important that the policymakers need to showcase to the world that we are stable, we know what we are doing in terms of policies. Eventually, it would translate into a commercial decision among them in terms of investing to Malaysia and come and set their own business here. So that's how we should navigate these challenges. Because investors, they have options. They can go elsewhere. So I think it's, while we are seeing ringgit is appreciating, but at the same time, we should not be complacent about it. I mean, in terms of policies, we need to continue to showcase to the world that we are serious about building these nations in terms of reformist agenda and whatnot. Yeah.
Because the only reason why I asked that particular question is I just want to understand if there's a link behind whether or not currencies should be moving differently and whether or not the country should be pulling in different directions in terms of having to put where they're focused in investing outside or maintaining certain investments within the country domestically. For instance, like say we have gold, we have other products, for instance, agriculture.
Oh yeah, of course, traditionally we can go to equities, bonds, and now we can see how our FBMK LCI have gone up quite substantially, now more than 1,700 points. So obviously, investing in equities is probably one of the best options. And looking at the bond markets, because the anticipations of interest rate cuts in the US, so gold also, fixed income or bonds also can offer a good investment returns. But now we have gold as the new kids on the block, in terms of offering to the general public when it comes to investing. So, but at the end of the day, what they need to really consider, obviously, aside from returns, is also about the risks. In the case of gold, you can see I would say it's almost exponentially increased in the span of 1 year plus, you see. So when you see that if the prices has gone up quite substantially, almost exponentially, they are bound for a correction. Yeah, because correction happens because there are someone's who want to lock in their gains.
Right. Do you know when we can expect this?
No one can tell when it is going to happen, but usually the standard is about when we say corrections, it's about 10% decline from the peak. So you can do your math. Let's say from 5,000 in the case of US dollar, $5,000 per ounce, times with 90%, that should give you a sense where the gold price should correct.
So should retail investors be very mindful in terms of how they navigate?
So on that note, Amalina, when you decide in terms of your investment decisions, aside the instrument that you plan to invest in, obviously it's your timeline, your horizon. So if you expect to invest in gold and expect 20% return is in a matter of 3 months, 6 months time, I think that's not reasonable because it's already peaking. But if you give yourself, say, 3 years, given what happened in the US, the policies and how, like I said earlier on, how the status of safe haven now is being shifted from US dollar to gold, maybe $7,000 per ounce in the next 3 years is something may not be too much to us.
Okay. I will trust you on that.
I'm not advising or anything, but we are trying to be reasonable. Yeah, because it's already right. In a way, it's already peaking. We're not sure when it will correct. You see.
Understood. Now only because you had hope that the ringgit would fall below 4, and that was just, we were talking about it like but just a month ago. But I mean,
it did happen, and it has its own reasoning to it.
Yeah, the reasoning is not necessarily just a throw of assumptions, because there are some math behind it.
Exactly.
Actually, there are some analytics behind it. Anyway, one last question to you. What are more? Are you hoping for any good news in the next month?
Well, we are effectively in the first quarter of 2026, and I suppose major announcements such as EPF dividend is something to look at to look at in terms of what sort of dividend that will be announced, considering that EPF has done well last year. I would say if you look at their first 9 months growth in gross investment income, they are growing at double-digit pace, 13%.
Right.
So we shall see whether they are able.
Think he's going to hit another record high?
Yeah. Judging from the first 9 months performance, it seems that if you look at ASB, they managed to maintain their performance. So I don't see why EPF couldn't do the same.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Bank Muamalat's Chief Economist, Dr. Afzanizam.
Most welcome.
Abdul, Rashid, thank you so much.
Now, in a major shakeup for Malaysian football, the Football Association of Malaysia, or FAM, has confirmed that its entire executive committee has resigned with immediate effect on January 28th. Now, Acting President Datuk Muhammad Yusof Mahadi said the decision was made collectively, unanimously and on principle, emphasizing that the integrity and reputation of Malaysian football must come first. Now, the move is aimed at reducing risks that could tarnish the sport while ensuring public trust and confidence remain intact. By stepping aside, the committee hopes to allow internal investigations and reforms to proceed without disruption, opening the door for new measures to be implemented smoothly. Now, we spoke with sports analyst Mohd Sadek Mustaffa for his insights. with all the executives now having to dramatically step down, there is this question of the day-to-day management, right? The planning of tournaments, league operations, administrative decisions. So there is this bigger question that all this will be facing delay or more confusion. So would you be able to outline some gaps that FAM immediately faces, and what can as a future leadership do to kind of curb this ripple effect?
They have their own departments which ESCOs only chair the meeting on upon certain issues on the leagues, on the sponsors. But I think with the resignations of all the ESCOs, that will affect because they have the personnel people who are hired to be there. Okay, the personnel, they know what they are doing. That's not worry me, but what's worried FM's actions will be taken upon them by FIFA. The next steps, what's going to happen. That's all. But they want when all of them resign, they will need to re-elections, new elections within 3 months or less than that. They can do earlier within 30 days or 40 days to elect their new committee or ESCOs and their presidents. So we just wait. The announcement will be made by the Secretary General. I believe that the action will be taken as soon as possible.
Can we also look into how this particular mass resignation may facilitate internal investigations or other sort of reform within the association itself? Like in what sort of I suppose intervention should there be in strengthening the mechanisms at B? One of it is in terms of the paperwork and documentation lah. The other aspect is dari segi how we manage players here.
I think the Secretary General knows what to do because he has his place and position back. I think the major actions that they have to do is to take a fresh elections on the ESCOs, the integrity department.
Right. So reforms will only be reliant on the results or the takeaways from the external investigations, and then they are able to seep into the internal mechanisms. That's what I'm trying to say. And for the internal sort of oversight, it's just right now to have a fresh elections to kind of rehold.
That's the main. I think that's the main ideas that they had to re-elect, to make a new re-elections on the ESCOs and the presidents. Acting president, they have limited power, so they need a new president to make sure that FM can go forward, and then give it a different image towards FIFA on how the new ESCOs and president will act towards the problem rise, and then how the FM will be being brought ahead in future challenge. So and then the important is to address the issues that they're having now.
Now that's all we have for today's episode. If you do like this particular episode, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to also turn on the notification bell if you haven't already. You'll not only get NST's Beyond the Headlines update, other NST Online's news reports will be delivered to you. Now follow us on our social media. We are on Instagram, X, Threads, TikTok as well as Facebook. My name is Amalina Kamal and we'll see you next week.